Hello and welcome back to the S&S Football Podcast. We're back again to go through the January transfer news after a couple of days off, regrouping and trying to build up some news because it's been a little bit quiet here and there. But we're back again to bring you some more transfer news. So firstly, if you are watching the stream, please make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. Thanks everyone. Like I think I mentioned in the last one for 20 subs. Like I said, it's a small milestone, and we'll try and keep pushing on and getting higher milestones. And that's obviously thanks to you guys. But we're going to start off with sort of the done deals. We've had to update all of them because there has been a few done deals which have been completed. So all of these sort of ones we had last time going across the bottom have gone now, completely new done deal. So we'll go through them now. Charlie Austin to QPR. We did mention this on stream when it was rumours. We also mentioned it when it was completed. But Charlie Austin to QPR on a loan move for the rest of the season is completed. So he has gone back there, as like we mentioned a few on a few of our previous streams. That when he played there, obviously when QPR went back up to the Premier League, fortunately though they did get relegated, and he moved on to Southampton. But he is back now at QPR on loan to the end of the season. The next few ones are really recent. Timothy Fosu-Mensah has left Manchester United and gone to Bayer Leverkusen for about £1.5 million. An absolute steal, in my opinion, for Leverkusen. Problem with Timbo at United is he just couldn't get a run in the team and couldn't really get playing. So, unfortunately, he couldn't get his way into the team and he couldn't get playing. I mean, if we look at Twanzebe now, who is fit and he's been playing well, he can't even get in the team. So, Timbo, who's had, a couple of injuries, a couple of loan moves as well. Yeah, it wasn't looking good for him. And if he wants to go and play, I think he's 22, 23, then I think a move away was always on the cards. So best of luck to him. But he's gone to Leverkusen for £1.5 million. Islam Slimani has gone to Lyon on a free from Leicester. I think Leicester ended up terminating his contract, or they reached an agreement that way. So he's gone to Lyon on a free. And then that deal come about because Moussa Dembele has joined Atletico Madrid on a loan move to the end of the season. But Atletico have the option to make it permanent. I think it's a 35 million buyout or clause in the contract. So, that deal can become permanent. I think it's very likely that it will. Lucas Payson has finally left Chelsea. So Chelsea fans, if you're watching, you will be happy to know that Lucas Payson has finally left your club. He has gone to Braga on a free. Unfortunately, no money for him. But after, I think it's 9 years at your club, he has finally left. And he's gone into the Portuguese league with Braga on a free. And then the breaking news, which has come out today, I think quite recently, maybe an hour or two ago, and obviously the person who was on the thumbnail of this stream is Luka Jovic has joined Frankfurt again on loan. So Luka Jovic has had I think it's fair to say, a horrific start at Real Madrid, and he's back. He's back at Frankfurt where he was, banging in the goals, and that's where he earned his move to Real Madrid. I think Frankfurt signed him on loan from Benfica, and I think they ended up paying them about 8 million, I think, in January. So, he's back at Frankfurt where it all went off. So, Luka Jovic has left Madrid on loan to go to Eintracht Frankfurt. I don't believe there is a permanent buyout in the contract at the end of the season, but it'd be interesting to see what does happen if he does continue to bang in the goals. So, be interested to see what happens with Luka Jovic on that one. Later on, we're going to go. Don't worry, we're going to go through all the news that's basically over the past couple of days. We're going to go through all the news, speak about it, go through it all, we will have Morgan coming back on. Morgan will be back on to talk a little bit about Villa, obviously. I think there's a little bit of news there, so we'll leave that to him. He can come in with that fresh news. And yeah, we'll just go through some of the news with him, get his thoughts, get his opinions on it as well, and go from there, really. So that's sort of the plan. Because you've got to need a plan. So yeah, we're just going to get right into it and up to date. I'm just going to double check that everything is smooth, but not sure. Just bear with me. Okay, I think we're good. Yeah, we're good. Okay. So yeah, like I said, we're going through all the news as always. Morgan's going to come on, and yeah, so we'll get stuck in straight away, and we're going to start off with the most reliable of people to get us underway with some news. Of course, it is Fabrizio Romano. And this was news about Fikayo Tomori. And there's been a lot of news, a lot of noise on Tomori leaving Chelsea, either permanently or on loan. I think it was more of a loan move. I think Newcastle are interested, but AC Milan have contacted Chelsea for Tomori, and Tomori would accept the destination. But the main target for Milan is still Mohamed Simakan, who's from Strasbourg. Only if the deal will collapse, Tomori will be the option. So a little bit of Chelsea news there on Tomori. Yeah, again, when Morgan was on, Chelsea Morgan, we spoke to him about Tomori and why he hadn't been getting, the opportunities, and could he be leaving in this window? And Morgan seemed to think he could. But I think it's agreed that it probably would be, just a loan move. I don't think it'd be anything longer than that, to be honest. So yeah, just a loan move for that one. Right. So yeah, bit of news on Tomori there. Like I said, I think we knew that already, that AC Milan were interested, but that's obviously Romano coming out and stating. And obviously we're going to stick with Romano because there is a lot to get through. So Fabrizio again coming out. If I just grab this up again. So this is news about Socrates and Genoa, as we've known for a while. Genoa have been interested in Socrates, but Socrates has, also been interested in Fenerbahce, same destination Ozil looks like he could be going to. But news here from Genoa. Genoa are no longer confident to sign Socrates. I'm not even going to try and pronounce that last one. Maybe if we get a few comments in, I might have a go at it. If you want me to have a go, I'll have a go at it. So they're no longer confident to sign Socrates from Arsenal because the Greek centre-back has not accepted the destination yet. And that's why Genoa are now close to reaching agreement with RB Salzburg to sign Jerome. Oh, God. Onjueni. We'll go with that. So, yeah, a little bit of news there on Socrates, Genoa, and RB Salzburg as well. So interesting to keep up to date with that. Right. Let's have a look. What else have we got going on here? So after this Genoa news from Socrates, obviously he come out and stated that the paperwork's been completed between Atletico Madrid and Lyon for Dembele, loan with buy option. So yeah, medical's pending. Then he'll be the new Atletico striker. We know that now. Slimani will be his replacement at Lyon. That's all done. Matteo Guendouzi is not coming back to Arsenal in January. Hertha Berlin want to keep him until the end of the season. That was an interesting one. I thought he could possibly come back, but clearly that is not going to happen. This is news about Moises Caicedo, a man that we've mentioned multiple times this window and in these streams, a man that looked destined to join Manchester United. However, Man United have pulled the plug on the deal, not interested apparently. So now it looks like Brighton are confident to sign him in the next few days. The agreement with Independiente, probably butchered that, has been reached for €6 million. Brighton are now waiting for the work permit to complete the deal. No Man United, no Chelsea, and no Everton. Newcastle have been trying, but it looks like he could be on his way to Brighton. And this is the thing I said about the deal is, if United then make their mind up and say, actually, that's the player we do need for Brighton, Brighton will go, okay, that's 40, 50 million. When, United could have got him for 6. So, I don't want to say I hope this deal doesn't work out because that's not fair on the player. But as a United fan, I don't want us to regret this, but I do think we will. I think we will. I think this is a good young player which United could regret. Now, this is leading on from the Tomori news, and I'm actually going to grab this up because this is interesting. This come out, I believe, a couple of days ago. So this is the news about Fikayo Tomori, like we just mentioned. AC Milan are now in talks with Chelsea for Tomori, as announced yesterday. He's a serious option as Simakan, who was obviously their first choice, is now injured. Also, Premier League clubs have asked for Tomori on loan. So there's clear interest in Fikayo Tomori this January. It'd be interesting to see where he does end up because, like I said, there are a lot of clubs interested in Tomori, and I think a move away will happen on loan. But it'd be interesting to see where he goes. Does he go abroad to Milan? Does he stay in England at possibly Newcastle or someone like that? I think Newcastle could do with a defender after they just lost to Sheffield United. So, yeah, more news on Tomori there. Like I said, there's a lot to get through. Luka Jovic is set to come back to Eintracht Frankfurt. That's now done. He was offered to Man United months ago, but they turned down the chance. Luka is now excited for the comeback, and that's obviously now a done deal. In fact, we have got another done deal, which I forgot to put in the done deal section. It is, no, it's, I believe, right. Bear with me. Bear with me 1 second when I sort this out. So this is one that got done today as well. You will see it going across the bottom. It will be the final one going across the bottom. But Kevin Strootman is a new Genoa player. He signed on loan from Olympique Marseille until the end of the season. Eric Garcia, we mentioned this a long time ago. He has an agreement with Barcelona and will join Barca this year. Totally confirmed. It'll be up to the new president to decide signing him in January. Negotiations with Man City or next summer as a free agent. But it does look like Garcia will end up at Barcelona. More news there on Jovic, done deal. Slimani, done deal. Timothy Fosu-Mensah, done deal. What else we got here? Yeah, still Slimani. Juventus are set to complete the signing of Brian Reynolds of Dallas. We mentioned this, and he will go on loan to Benevento in Syria until the summer, where he will then become a Juventus player because they've signed too many EU players because they signed Weston McKennie and who else did they sign? I can't remember. But they signed one extra player as well. Arthur, that's it. Arthur from Barcelona. So because of that, they can't sign anyone else. This is I'm just about to get the most up-to-date one up because start from here. This is about I'm not even going to try and pronounce this guy's first name. This is about Mate, not the Reading one. Sobrano, you will be pleased to know this isn't about Yaku Mate. But this is about the former AS Monaco midfielder. He will join AC Milan. I think it's on a loan with a buy option from Torino. Confirmed done deal. Negotiations on also to extend the contract of Hakan Çalhanoğlu. So there are sort of two done deals that I would say. So AC Milan getting deals done. Syria, don't want you talking. So yeah, AC Milan getting two deals done there. It'll be interesting to see what AC Milan does with Diogo Dalot this January as well, because United are interested apparently to offload him permanently, which it's beyond me, but Leipzig news. RB Leipzig want to keep Marcel Sabitzer in January. Same with Upamecano. There's many clubs interested in him as a target for next summer. Tottenham included, but there's nothing advanced at the moment. What else have we got? Dalbert is set to leave Rennes after 6 months to join Valladolid on loan from Inter Milan. Also, go back to Tomori. Negotiations are on with Chelsea for Tomori as a centre-back if Simakan deal will collapse. Mandzukic is an option as a striker. He's a free agent. So Milan looking like they're doing some business this January. Brighton news. Brighton are planning to offer a new contract to Tariq Lamptey, as many clubs are looking at the former Chelsea right-back for next summer. They're still awaiting the work permit to complete the Moises Caicedo deal, so that looks ever closer. And then RB Leipzig are set to lose Upamecano 42 million euros in the summer, but won't sell in January. So Upamecano does not seem to be going anywhere at the minute. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see where he does end up, because like I said, I think United are in for him, Liverpool, Bayern Munich. There's a huge host of clubs that are in for Upamecano at the minute. And like I said, it'd be interesting to see where he goes. I guess the fee would be pretty self-explanatory, 42 million euros is the release clause. So I guess it is, where will he go? So yeah, that'll be one to keep an eye out on. So yeah, that's news from Fabrizio. Like I said, that's the most reliable in my opinion. Fabrizio Romano. Once you get past that, Sky News is still quite reliable, but you want to make sure it's got a very good source to it. So yeah, that's what we shall go to first. We will have a look now here. A lot of the news is similar to what we've already said, but we will still talk about it if it comes up, or we'll move on and talk about other news which has happened or is happening, as we should say. So yeah, let's have a look what we got here. This is interesting. I don't think we mentioned this, but this could be not what Liverpool fans want to hear, unfortunately. But this is Mbappe news, and it's not Liverpool that he's linked with here. The Mbappe formula. Real Madrid are hoping to recoup between 100 million to 150 million euros from sales next summer to fund a bid for Kylian Mbappe. Bale, Jovic, and Marcelo could all be sold to help pay Mbappe's huge 21 million euros a year salary. So, Liverpool fans, what do you make of that? I suppose is what we should say. What do you make of that? Because I think that could be very interesting if true. Very interesting. And then it would look like he will not be Liverpool bound. So, yeah, a little bit of news there on Kylian Mbappe and Real Madrid, not Liverpool yet. We spoke about Harry Winks and Valencia are interested in a loan move for him, but I don't think that can happen. Where else do we get up to? Chelsea owner Roman Abramovich is considering reapporting Avram Grant as part of Frank Lampard's backroom team. So not obviously his first team manager or anything, but as part of his backroom team. So that'd be interesting to see if that did go through. Rob Holding signed a new contract at Arsenal, a new long-term one, I believe, till 2024, maybe 2025, 3 or 4 year deal. This is Mesut Ozil's manager. He said the transfer process of Mesut to Fenerbahce is currently underway. People have understood what Mesut wants to do with the tweets he posted yesterday. I think that's going to be completed. I don't think he'll go anywhere else this window other than Fenerbahce. I think that'll be the team he goes to if he does move, and I think it is looking really likely. Bayern Munich have expressed an interest in signing Florian Neuhaus, maybe, for Borussia Mönchengladbach. The midfielder has a 40 million euro release clause and is also being monitored by Real Madrid. So a couple of big boys there coming in for Florian Neuhaus. Arsenal have opened talks with representatives of PSG forward Julian Draxler. Nothing done on that yet. Newcastle are in talks with Monaco over a deal for Djibril Sidibe. The deal for the French international could be worth around £9.8 million. Obviously had a loan spell at Everton last year, but it could be coming back to the Premier League and for Newcastle. I did see this, and I don't know how much there is in this, but we'll have to wait and see how much there is in this. But Dortmund are now preparing for Jadon Sancho's sale, with Stuttgart forward Tanguy Koulibaly, who has been identified as a replacement for the England international. I pray that is true. But I pray United get that done and get Sancho, like we missed out on him in the summer. But we can all hope and we can all pray. So yeah, I hope that Sancho news is true. We'll just have to wait and see. Now we'll get this news up, and then we'll get an opinion on this from Morgan, as he has entered in a minute, but we'll just read this out early doors. Barcelona have shown an interest in signing Sergio Aguero from Man City on a free transfer this summer. Unfortunately, it's from the Sun, so I don't know how reliable this is. Barcelona interested, PSG interested, obviously with the Argentine Pochettino link. So, Morgan, thoughts on that as you jump straight in?
I mean, a player of his caliber to go to a team like Barcelona, it seems like a match made in heaven. I mean, obviously, with Barca and what's going on at the moment, I think they quite quickly need to get a player. They need to get a forward in because it seems to be an area that's eluding them at the moment. And I'm not really too sure where they are in La Liga. I know they're definitely not top or anywhere near top right now. So he'd be a great player to come in if he can keep fit. I think his fitness is the main problem because look, there's no doubt in his day he's a phenomenal footballer, but in essence, if he's not fit, what's the point in signing him?
No, that's true. I think there is no doubt. There's no doubt at all that Aguero would be a very good signing for either club. But I think his injury record is a little bit questionable, I think, to say the least. So I think you're right. There's obviously going to be clubs wanting him, and he has been a great striker for City as well over the numerous years he has spent on Manchester. So it would just be interesting to see where he goes and sort of what happens with him. But I guess the question is, do you think he will leave?
Um, no, I have a funny feeling that he's going to stay at Man City because with his age and with his injury record, I think he can still be used to Man City in some way. I just think offloading him and him going to another club, I don't really think it'd be worth it. You look at it. It honestly depends on the recruitment policy at whatever club concerns. And in Barcelona's sense, they should be looking at youthful players for the future. Yes, Aguero would bring an awful lot of experience and pedigree, but if he's not going to be match fit on a regular basis and he's going to be constantly injured and he's virtually made of glass at this point, do you then risk signing a player like that, spending quite a bit of money? Because, well, with it being a free transfer, I don't
Be
know.
wages, wouldn't it?
Yeah, that's what I mean. The wages, because if there was a transfer fee, I'd definitely say no because it won't be worth it. I mean, he's going to demand big wages as well, so it's a tough one, isn't it? I mean, he's no doubt got the ability to go and play in La Liga and score a lot of goals for Barcelona. But it's his fitness that would worry me as a Barcelona fan, especially considering the fact that they're not doing well and they need players to come in and make an instant impact. And he's probably not going to be fit if they signed him.
Do you think? Firstly, I guess, do you think this is similar to the sort of Cavani situation with Man United? Because I know Cavani hadn't played a lot for PSG before we signed him, but obviously he had that great goal scoring record. Similarly to Aguero, fantastic goal scoring record, not really playing a lot. So I think he's similar to Cavani in that sense. But also, I think someone told me Man City are one very lethal striker away from winning the league. And is that very clinical striker not Sergio Aguero? Because he is back on the bench now and regaining fitness.
I think City weirdly play better without a striker. If we've watched them over the Chelsea game's a perfect example. City didn't even need a striker. And me and you, I remember we sat down and really criticised Man City. Can't remember what podcast it was, but I was really passionate about it because I thought, for the money they've spent, and I criticised it. But you know what? I've got to eat a bit of humble pie, to be honest, because they've been phenomenal since that point. They've been absolutely phenomenal, and they've gone under the radar a lot. And I didn't even realise they've only lost 2 matches this year, which just seems ridiculous because everyone's been talking about how bad they've been and how they're not the City of old. But I don't really know because watching them against Brighton last night as well, they seem to cope without a striker because of the constant interchanging between the forward line, De Bruyne, Sterling. It looks Silva. It just looks a lot more fluent without a number 9 at the moment because when Jesus has come in, he hasn't been confident and he's let City down a little bit. So I think Sergio Aguero could be a use to Man City. I would more see him, and I know this sounds absolutely ridiculous considering his goal scoring record and his pedigree. Do you not think that he could be better just coming off the bench when they need to get another goal? They know that he's going to come on and score. He's got a great goal scoring record. Do you think that he could be a potential super sub in a way? But then a player like Aguero, is he going to accept that?
Well, for me, I think, City have already got Jesus, and obviously he's not playing at the minute. Well, I don't think he's playing at the minute. But I think going back to, like you said, would Aguero be happy with sitting on the bench? It goes back to Cavani again, because I think that's what United brought him in for. Brought him in to sort of say, look, I think Martial at the beginning of the season was the striker, the number 9, because he did score like numerous amount of goals last season, was really good for us last season. However, this season he hasn't really scored the amount of goals that we would have liked from him, and he has come under a little bit of criticism at times. So then Cavani then become, right, you're going to start games, or when you do come on, he's been scoring. So you have to say, look, you got to start him now because he's been scoring. And I think you could do that with Aguero. You could say, look, at the minute, we're looking at possibly Jesus to start, but if he's not firing, we'll bring you on, and it's your chance then to show us you can still score goals, and then he cements a starting place again. So there's definitely a space here. Aguero's still at Man City, but I just don't know whether he would accept saying, okay, I'm second fiddle to Jesus now, and if he gets injured or if he's not firing, I've then got to come on or come in and have an impact, or else as soon as he's back fit again, I'm out the team. So he's definitely got clear quality. I think it's interesting to see whether the Argentina Pochettino will have any pull on him. I think that might be more so than Barcelona, unless, of course, Messi is sweet talking him. But I don't think, the Messi situation is one again. Is he even going to stay at Barcelona to sweet talk him in? So I think the Aguero one's an interesting one. I think if I was to say the possibility of him moving, John, I'll probably go 50-50 at the minute for him moving and him staying. But I think the bigger question is, would it be PSG or would it be Barcelona that he goes to?
I think if we're talking about Man City this season and then mounting a title challenge and getting their title back, he has to stay. Because if he was to go, who's the backup? Unless there was a backup, a clear backup in the process, and they're close to it, I would not get rid of Aguero, because in this time, more than ever, we're seeing COVID cases, more injuries because of fixture congestion, and especially with Man City, they haven't played as many games as everyone else. They've got a massive clump of fixtures still yet to play. Villa and Man City are sort of the two that are playing catch up. So if you're looking at City mounting a title challenge this year, they are going to need every inch of that squad, which is why I can see clubs like City and clubs like Liverpool being really conservative and smart in the window. Getting rid of Aguero, who has got bags of experience, bags of goals, I just can't see it happening. I can't see City being stupid enough to go, right, you can go off to so-and-so, especially when you consider the Champions League as well, because it's quite likely that if he was to go to a PSG or a Barca, they're going to get Man City. So you're technically strengthening a rival in that sense, and that's sort of Pep's golden cabinet that's empty at the moment that he wants to win before he leaves Man City. So I think Aguero, him as a player, I don't know whether he'd settle for being on the bench, but I think the club will ultimately empower the decision, and I think they'll overrule if he wants to go and say, look, we've got a chance of winning the Premier League again. You may not play much of it, but you're going to play a part in it. You're going to feature in it. And I mean, the fear that teams would have with him coming off the bench with 20 minutes to go against, like, if they're struggling against a Fulham or a West Brom, because that's what they've missed in them games. The draw to West Brom, they missed an Aguero coming on and making that difference and getting that goal to get them over the line. So, yeah, look, there's no doubt that this guy's got talent. But if we're talking about Man City and them really pushing on this year, like they've done in previous seasons, he's got to stay. He's got to be part of that squad.
Yeah, no, I agree. If you are watching, please make sure you are liking the stream. If you want anything for me and Morgan to talk about, please put it in the comments. We will talk about it and see if there's any news on it, if it's regarding your club. So please do let us know. The Twitter will be somewhere on our channel, or if not, just type in SNS Football Podcast on Twitter. That's where all the transfer news is when we're not online. So yeah, feel free to interact with us and we will get up to date with whatever you want us to talk about. So we'll move on from Aguero because, there is still a lot of news to sort of get through as well. I've just shut you out the stream there, Morgan. But we will move on because, like I said, leaving it a couple days, the done deals doesn't really get completed, or there's not many, but the rumours hot up after a couple of days. One I'm not going to put on screen, but one we can talk about because Romano has said this is a done deal for the summer. However, this has come out, I think yesterday, saying that Man City have reportedly accepted a €5 million plus €5 million in bonuses bid from Barcelona for Eric Garcia. The transfer should be completed before the end of the month. So I think Garcia to Barcelona looks done. I think the question is, are Barcelona going to pay the money now or sign him on a free in the summer? Look, we mentioned this in the past and you were not a fan of Garcia. Is your feelings changed towards him, or are you still convinced that he's not the right man for Barcelona?
I think Man City just need to get him off the books, to be honest. I think him as a centre-back, I've watched enough of him to say that he is not anywhere near Man City standard. And I mean, Barcelona are making some weird signings at the moment. I've heard they're linked with Hector Bellerin as well. Like, I really don't know recruitment-wise what is going on at Barcelona at the moment. But if I was Man City, I'd honestly take the money and run. When you've got players like Ruben Diaz, who I think has been a breath of fresh air for City, and he's been magnificent for them, and John Stones also has just come on leaps and bounds. Finally, he's going to be potentially the player that they initially bought. So look, they've got, for me, City have got two centre backs that he's nowhere near that level. In terms of keeping a squad, he would be good to keep around the squad because I guess he'd be good just to come in for a game against maybe a West Brom or a poorer side that aren't really going to attack you as much. So he's not defending as much. But I remember watching Eric Garcia play against Leicester, I think, at the early part of the season when they lost 5-2. And he was horrendous, absolutely horrendous. Just shocking. So, look, I don't want to tarnish him on one performance, but I have watched City quite a lot this season after criticising them because I wanted to get educated on what it actually is with them. And for me, Eric Garcia is just not good enough. And City are a title challenging team this year. And like I said, if they want to do anything, he's got to go. So look, he might do better in Barca in his home country. He might do well for them. And I'd wish him all the best if he went over there. But I don't think the Premier League's his mustard, to be honest. And I think it's a good deal for City if they can get some money for him as well.
He has to go, blood. He has to go, blood. We got a comment in here from Tom. Bobby Decordova-Reid to Union Berlin. No, because he's banging in the goals for Fulham at the minute. So he's a
quality player. I've watched Reid for a very, very long time because obviously with Villa being in the Championship for the 3 or 4 calamitous seasons that it was, he started, I think it was Bristol City, he first really hit off his career and he was banging in the goals for them. I think he was the top scorer in the league. And then he went to Cardiff in the Prem. He moved straight up to Cardiff, and obviously it didn't really work out for him. Got relegated with Cardiff, and went to Fulham. And he's a fantastic player. I do think that had that chat come in about 4 or 5 months ago, it might have been something, because in the Championship he was playing, but he was sort of getting. It was either him or Josh Onoma in the Championship for Fulham, and he was getting seen as a bit of a rotation player, from what I've heard from the minimal amount of Fulham fans that I know. But he's really stepped up this season, so I cannot see Fulham giving away one of their better players to Union Berlin, who I think are having a really good season in the Bundesliga this year. I don't know whether I'm mistaken, but I think they're doing all right this year. So yeah, it'd be no, not a chance.
Yeah, no, I think Bobby Reed, I don't think will be moving. This comment here, I'll be honest, not a Scooby, not an absolute clue who this is in the comments now. There's too many people that begin with B, because names that begin with B are the best, obviously. Nice and Jesse Lingard. Nice has held talks with Man United midfielder Jesse Lingard's agent over a potential loan deal. I think he goes I think he goes this January. I don't think he stays. And yeah, I think that's him gone, to be honest, because unfortunately, watching him against Watford when he did have his chance, I don't really think he made the utmost of it like others did. I mean, if you look at Van der Beek, I know Bailly played well, but he plays well anyway. You look at Twanzebe, played well, and obviously Henderson didn't really have a lot to do, but still played well. And a few of the others played well as well. And there was a few that actually took their chance. Sorry, Balka, should have known it was you. I thought you meant first name. But yeah, I think his time is up. I just wonder whether it'll be a permanent move, or like we've seen, a loan move that gets him away from United this January. I'd be interested to see what happens with Lingard, but I do think he is gone. And I sent you something the other day which said Villa were apparently linked with him. You've told me your thoughts on that. Go on, share your thoughts with the audience about Lingard to Villa.
I just think with Lingard, and I hate to sound horrible here, but I just want him. I think with what Villa's philosophy in terms of, I think, like I said on the last time I come on, Villa's recruitment has been the reason as to why we have elevated so much, and we've got all of the praise that we have. And I think we've got a real recruitment policy with who we actually bring in now. And there's a vision on what type of players we want to sign. They've got to be the right type of player. And Jesse Lingard, who's coming to sort of the end of his career, and not look, Villa have got, in my opinion, a lot better options within the club already. And for me, I only want to bring in players that are going to compete and actually give a headache to Dean Smith on bringing them in to the side. And Villa have already got Ross Barkley, which I'm sure I'll speak about at some point. And we've got my friend Jacob Ramsey as well, who seems to be literally on the verge of starting for Villa, who for me are streaks ahead of Lingard. And Dean Smith doesn't sign players that are sort of going towards the end of their careers. He likes young players that just have that energy about them. And I don't think Lingard would fit the mould at Villa. I do understand why, because the whole Barkley situation is up in the air and people are thinking, are they going to get him permanently? If not, Lingard would be a good option. But there's better out there. There's better out there for Villa. And if we want to have aspirations to go European next season, nah, Jesse Lingard can't join Villa. I'm sorry. It'd be good for, I tell you who he would be good for. I would say Brighton, but Brighton have McAllister and Lallana, who are two brilliant players, but it doesn't seem to be working
Trossard as
out.
well in attacking positions.
It's actually mental how where Brighton are with the team that they've got. Like, surely, I know it's going off on a tangent, but surely Graham Potter has got to have questions thrown at him now, because they're literally like, I don't understand how they've got such a good side. And yeah, everyone goes, oh, they play this brilliant brand of football. But is it that brilliant when you look at their results and they've won 2 games all year, which granted one of them was against Villa, which is shot. But that's just a calamity, really, isn't it? 2 wins all year.
I know. It's not good at all for them. But yeah, little bit of news on Lingard there. Like I said, I do think he'll leave. Comment in here for a transfer. By the looks of things, he doesn't want it to happen. Socrates to Liverpool. Wow. Imagine.
I mean, the emojis say it all, doesn't it?
They do. Reece, mate, I'm gonna let you breathe easier. Nothing has come out for Socrates to Liverpool as of yet. However, the downside is that Genoa, like I mentioned earlier, are not interested in Socrates anymore, I don't think, because Socrates decided he doesn't want to go there. So you never know. You absolutely never know. You were linked with Daryl Janmaat at one point, Liverpool, because Wijnaldum offered him. And then Reece again says, breaks my heart to see Slimani leave the Prem. His fight to score a goal coming off the bench continues. Now, Morgan, there's a backstory to this. So, and I'm sure he won't mind me sharing this on stream. But you may remember Ross Barkley may have scored in the last minute pretty much to put Villa 1-0 up against Leicester. And with about 5 or 10 minutes to go, on comes Slimani, who's been dead to the world for about 2 years. And my mate Reece went and put, I think it was a 5 or a 10 on Slimani to score. Oh, and it never happened. God.
I rate that. Do you know, I rate that so much. I rate that so much.
We were there like, this can't happen. Why are you doing it? He was like, I'm doing it. Put it on. And we were like, yeah, you're done. And it was painful seeing him run to press. And
do you know what? That's so weird, because in January last season, Villa were heavily linked with Slimani, and every single one of us were crossing everything we could. Please do not sign this guy. Like, please do not sign him. And there were fees flowing around, like 15 million. And I thought, honestly, I don't even know if we sign Islam Slimani. And then, at the time, I remember watching the game and I was like, why have they brought him on? Like, they want the goal. What? Like, surely, I mean, to be fair, with Vardy injured, you ain't got much, have you, Leicester? Sorry to say it, but you ain't got much if Vardy's injured. So I'd probably keep Slimani away from the Premier League. Maybe another league's for him. Maybe he'll get a few goals for us somewhere elsewhere. But no,
he's gone. He's joined Lyon. He's joined Lyon on a permanent deal for free, actually. So yeah, a bit.
Lyon are doing well this year as well.
They are. Little bit of an update on the old bet that you put on. It was actually £14.60 or something, just so you could get a free £5 bet. Oh, you love to see it. You absolutely love to see it. Unbelievable. We're going to bring. Here we are. We're going to bring another. Can't even get the words out. Going to bring another sort of article or post up on the screen now. This is speaking of Chelsea and managers again, and apparently Chelsea have drawn up a short list for possible successors to Frank Lampard. This is Allegri, Hasenhüttl, Nagelsmann, Rodgers, and Thomas Tuchel. After this, Morgan, we will speak about Villa transfers, ins and outs, because I'm sure you'll have more news than me on it, because I haven't heard anything, to be honest, apart from the Lingard thing, which I told you. So before we get on to Villa, thoughts about these managers? Because I think 3 of them I mentioned before, Allegri, Nagelsmann, and Tuchel. Rodgers and Hasenhüttl, yeah, they probably would be good managers for Chelsea, but I don't think they'd go for him as of yet. I think they'd probably put the other three ahead of them. But what would your order be in terms of who would you get to try and avoid if you were Chelsea anyway?
It's a weird one because Brendan Rodgers would be Brendan Rodgers would sort of be the top choice for me behind Ralph Hasenhüttl. I'd probably say, like, I would love to see Ralph Hasenhüttl at a big club. I'd love to see him get a chance. Brendan Rodgers is obviously a quality manager, and what he's done at Leicester, I think, is quite remarkable, really. Allegri hasn't really been in a job for a while, so for me, he's probably someone that's definitely more attainable. But would they want him? I know Chelsea do have a fan of employing Italian managers. Julian Nagelsmann, no, not for me. Not for me, really. I think Tuchel seems more of a realistic one. For me, I would target Tuchel and Hasenhüttl, as I can't see Rodgers leaving a Leicester side that at the moment look better than Chelsea. It was last year, Rodgers got linked with Arsenal as well. And a lot of people were saying, why would he leave Leicester when Leicester are better than Arsenal right now? Like, he would be going backwards. So, and in my opinion, I hate to say it, Chelsea fans, you might want to look away now, but I think Leicester are just a lot better at the moment than Chelsea, and their situation's a lot better. So Rodgers for me is out of the question, but he'd be brilliant to get. I'd love to see Hasenhüttl, I really would, because I think what he's done at Southampton is nothing short but amazing when you consider how that 9-0 last season. They actually lost the 2 games after that as well, and credit to Southampton where it's due. They didn't pull the plug on him at the time, and like most clubs would have. And look what he's done there. It's nothing short but remarkable. And he'd probably be open to leaving as well, because Southampton seem to have a knack of getting these really good managers in, like their players, and then moving them on. You know, you look at Pochettino, he was only there for a short amount of time, and he then moved on to Spurs and did fantastically well at Spurs. So I'd love to see Hasenhüttl at a bigger job, because I do think he deserves a crack at it, because what he's done at Southampton is fantastic. So yeah, for me it'd be Hasenhüttl my number one choice.
Would you, firstly, bit of a double-headed question here, as I always do. I seem to ask you 2 questions at once here. But would you put, firstly, speaking about Hasenhüttl, is his scenario similar to Poch's when he was obviously at Southampton, like you mentioned? And also, do you think he will get that move away, and do you think it will be in the Prem? And then secondly, do you think they rate Rodgers and Hasenhüttl over the others because they're Premier League proven compared to the others, or do you just think they don't really mind that and they could go for a Tuchel over a Rodgers? Or what do you think? Any Premier League provenness has anything in this at all, or?
I definitely think Premiership proven has to be a massive instigator for Chelsea here, because they need a manager that knows the league inside out. He knows what players are good enough for his philosophy. Because what you've got to remember as well is that, you know, philosophy and a way of playing is so important in the Premier League, because tactically the demands of the league and the standard of the coaches in the league is phenomenal. And 2 managers in Hasenhüttl and Rodgers that have got a philosophy that doesn't really seem to be worked out by many teams, but are also very good at countering other philosophies and other teams' tactics. So for me, you've got to look within the league if you're Chelsea. And a club like Chelsea, who are so cutthroat, they wouldn't mind paying compensation to go and get a Hasenhüttl or to go and get a Rodgers. Is whether or not, obviously, it's a mutual agreement. Is whether or not Hasenhüttl and Rodgers want to give up their projects at Leicester and Southampton, irrespectively, because Hasenhüttl has built a really sustainable or kept a really sustainable model at Southampton, steadied the ship, and he's kept their sort of good recruitment and good run going. And what you got to think with Hasenhüttl as well is that he's developed players like Jan Benderek and Yannick Vestergaard, who were part of the 9-0 thrashing. They were two centre-backs that everyone was going, they are dreadful. And now we look at them as two centre-backs that arguably could be in this team of the season so far. He's progressed a lot of players. Che Adams, he brought him to the club. Che Adams, as much as he's an ex-Blue Nose, and you know that I don't like Birmingham, but I think he's a great player as well. He's progressed. Danny Ings as well. He is a manager that I think deserves a crack at the big clubs. And Rodgers, you know, what he's done at Leicester, it's got to be Premier League proven. You've got to be looking at managers that have done it in the Prem before, because Klopp for me is a rare breed. And I know a lot of people go, yeah, but Klopp didn't manage an English team and then came over to Liverpool, and everyone thinks, he did it straight away. Does anyone remember when Klopp got his team to go up to the Kop when they drew 2-2 to West Brom and do the famous handshake thing, and everyone was laughing at him because they were sixth, and Klopp had a long-term project? So for me, Klopp is an anomaly, because a lot of the managers that come over, you think of Maurizio Sarri, Unai Emery, Arsenal and Chelsea have both experienced, Chelsea themselves firsthand, how maybe going and looking at a foreign manager hasn't been the way forward. And when Chelsea needs something to spark quickly, because for me, Chelsea are in a position now where it could go very, very wrong very, very quickly, like Arsenal, where they've got a lot of players on a lot of big wages that are not pulling their weight. They need a man to go in there and say, you're either with me or you're not. And at the moment, it doesn't seem like Frank Lampard's doing that. And one thing that I think doesn't get spoke about enough with Frank Lampard is the guy invested in his youth so heavily last season and was certain them players were so brilliant. You think of Tammy Abraham, you think of Mason Mount, Tamori, three players that were fantastic for Chelsea last season, and one of them, Mason Mount, is now playing. And if you're players like Tammy Abraham and Tamori, you're probably losing belief in Frank Lampard, because you're thinking, I played so well for you last year. I kept you your job last year, because a lot of people were still saying he weren't good enough last year. We carried a poor Chelsea side last year. And yet you then look at where they are now. Tammy barely can get a game. And when he does get a game, he gets played either out wide or up front and gets barely any service. And Tamori hasn't even played all season. So I think, for me, that as the weeks go on, I think the fans are really, really starting to turn on Frank Lampard. And Hasenhüttl and Rodgers would be two perfect replacements for me. But I think Hasenhüttl is definitely more realistic than Rodgers, 100%.
Yeah, I think with, like I said, Hasenhüttl and Rodgers, I think they're probably the obvious two, because, like I said, they're Premier League proven. But the other ones could be a wild shot, because they, I guess, have won stuff. You look at Tuchel, you look at Allegri, maybe not Nagelsmann as much, but the other two have won stuff. So the final question on this as well is Hasenhüttl at the end of this season, because I think Chelsea, I think if they were to get Hasenhüttl or something like that, Hasenhüttl may say, look, give me to the end of the season, then they'll join. In that case, Chelsea will get an interim to the end of the season, and then a new manager possibly come in the summer. With Hasenhüttl at the end of this season, say Southampton continue playing fantastically well like they're doing, finish top 8, maybe even top 6. How much further can he push Southampton up the league, or would you think he'd be able to say, look, I've done all I can with Southampton now. I've got them to top 8, top 6. That's me done. I can't do any more with Southampton. I now want to, if Chelsea come in, I want to go to a bigger club and possibly win a title, or, win whatever. Because I don't think Southampton can go that much higher than top 8 or top 6, can they?
No, I think that is sort of the highest level, and I think if I remember rightly, that's sort of the level that Poch took them as well. And you look at the level of manager that Poch is, and I think Southampton that is sort of their pedigree now. I think pushing for maybe trying to be like a Wolves and break into that top 6, top 8. I think for Hasenhüttl, what he's got to think is as a manager, if I leave Southampton, what sort of state and how much of an effect that is going to have on Southampton and the future of them, because he seems like a manager that really cares about them and really cares about the club. And Maurizio Pochettino, yes, he left abruptly, but he left them in a position where the players they had quality players, they had a style of playing that was implemented throughout the club. So when the next manager came in, they could obviously put their own philosophy in it, but he had the players to mould a certain philosophy until he managed to get the players in for his own. So I think that's a really important point. I think Hasenhüttl won't just abruptly leave Southampton unless there is a major fee of money involved, because he's doing fantastic at Southampton and he's created a fantastically well-drilled, well-organised, brilliant, efficient Prem side. And at the moment with what's going on with Chelsea and the amount of unease there, I don't really think he wants to go near a job like that, because it seems like Southampton is a lot more settled.
Yeah, no, I agree. Look, well, we spoke enough about Chelsea and managers. I don't know how long you're on for tonight, so fire away on the old Villa news. If you've got any screens you want to share, please just drop them to me and I'll get them up. But apart from that, ins, outs, anything. What's the crack at Villa at the minute? Because like I said, I haven't really heard anything apart from when you were on last time and obviously the Jesse Lingard news.
The situation with Villa still remains sort of a difficult and uncertain one. Our fixtures against Tottenham and Everton have been postponed. The Everton fixture got moved to a Sunday morning just so it could be played, but Villa's training ground has only just been announced that it's going to be reopened on Saturday morning. So that is the first time that the players will be back into full training after our COVID outbreak. And obviously, 1 day preparation is nowhere near enough of an efficient time to go and play an Everton side that are ridiculously high flying at the moment. So that game has been cancelled. But the situation with Villa is still quite a worrying one, because, yet again, to protect the identities of the players, we don't have any ideas on who these 10 players are. And heaven forbid that these 10 players have either recovered pretty well or are in a position where they can put a shift in, because we've got Man City next Wednesday and that's our first game back. And if you're talking about who would you not want on your first game back after a COVID outbreak, where you are probably going to be missing players and you're probably going to have a weakened 11, you would probably say Man City or Liverpool. And yeah, we're not lucky at all with the fixtures and how that's worked out. But we've got to go to Man City next Wednesday. I don't even think the game's going to be off either, because we'll have had Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. The players would have had 4 days to prep for the game. For me, we just need to focus on managing this COVID situation and getting through a really tough time, because we've seen how COVID has affected things moving forward. But one thing that has gave me optimism is watching Fulham last night. Fulham were tremendous against Tottenham and they'd had a COVID outbreak like us. and the team that they fielded was strong. They looked good. So I'm hoping that Villa have the same thing, and it isn't a really weak 11, and we go and get lumped by Man City, and all of a sudden we start looking at the negatives from last year. Because for me, Villa were at such a good point. After that Man United game, even despite losing, I remember saying, I was so proud of the team and we did so fantastically well at the
It
time.
was
I
a great
thought
game of
we were
football. It was a
brilliant.
great game of football. Neither team
Yeah,
could really have been like, if Villa had won, I would have been like, I think United played well, but Villa played well as well. If it was a draw, both teams played well. United won, obviously, but Villa still played really well. So I think whoever got whatever the result, I think either team could have said, look, we both played well. It's how the cookie crumbles. You either need a bit of luck in our case, or usually sometimes a bit of magic. So, but yeah, no, like I said, it was a good game, and I think if people watching it, it was probably a good one to watch if you were possibly a neutral.
yeah, and I think after that game, I thought going into Spurs, Everton, Man City, and the rest of the month, I thought, do you know what, we playing like that against Man United, who at the time and who still are high flying, and I thought, like, bloody hell, we could give these three teams like a real game here, and if we got 3 or 4 points out of Everton, Spurs, and Man City, we're still going to be in that sort of top 8 area, and obviously we've still got games in hand on people as well. But it's come at a really bad time for us because that Man United game was such a good performance from us, especially in the second half. Going to play Spurs at Villa Park and Everton at Villa Park back to back, I was really backing us to get 6 points, or 4 at the very least, and then maybe go to City and get maybe a point or something, even pushing it. But it really depends, because I think, like, listening to Villa podcasts and stuff, we're all quite worried because we have no idea what the effect that COVID is going to have and whether it derails our season or not. Because I really do think that we can challenge for Europe this year. And I think we've proven that in the games that we've played against the bigger sides, especially, that we've got what it takes now. And that starting 11 that played against Man United is a real start. You imagine as well, we didn't even have Ross Barkley for that game. So, with Barkley coming back into that side and Grealish going back onto the left, we could have a real European side on our hands. But yeah, this COVID situation is becoming it's not handy at all. But look, I hope that we have a strong side against Man City out. I hope that it hasn't affected us. One good thing is that I've seen on Instagram, Jack Grealish has started training. He's started putting videos up on his socials of him running in his home, and doing his weights and stuff. So I'm hoping he wasn't one of the ones that got COVID. But it seems like the players are training at home, and I imagine Dean Smith, like lockdown last time, will have a plan for all these players. So yeah, in terms of the COVID situation before transfers, it's sort of the same as before. Nothing's really changed apart from that we are returning back to training. But if I'm being honest, I'd probably write that Man City game off because I can't see us getting a win there, especially with how well they're doing and with what's gone on with us. I can't see us getting a result there.
Well, yeah, no, I think unfortunately, you have been hit with quite a bad sort of COVID outbreak. Number of games postponed, like we mentioned. You had to play youngsters against Liverpool. Before we get on to them,
Oh, we haven't even spoken about that.
Yeah, no, we will. We will speak about that in a minute. But before we go on to them on the screen, he's sort of a player that's left Villa in somewhat left you in the summer, but he's only just signed for a new club now. Andre Green signed for Sheffield Wednesday, obviously on a free since he left you in the summer. This was a player that I believe was when you got promoted. He was out on loan. Then you brought him back in January, and I think he scored that famous equaliser against Sheffield United in the last minute, the header. But I guess things didn't really work out for him then in the Premier League.
Andre Green was someone who come through our youth academy and had an awful lot of promise. And I remember watching him years ago when he played Norwich in the Championship at Villa Park, and he was phenomenal that day. And he scored an absolute screamer in the top corner. He looked the real deal, athletic, tall, quick, strong, fast. He looked the real deal, but injuries and just falling out of favour. Really, he was at the club in a really unfortunate time when Steve Bruce was manager of Villa, and it just didn't really work out for him. But I'm glad to see that he's got another club now, because he is a great talent, and if Sheffield Wednesday can find that within him that we've seen brief stints of when he was at Villa, he could be a real coup for him.
Yeah, no, 100%. We will go ahead now and talk about obviously the FA Cup game, and I guess for me and unfortunately not for yourself, the next draw. But firstly, talking about Villa, as a fan, how proud are you of them young players going out there and playing against it was basically a full strength Liverpool team. They had to bring on Thiago in the end. They had to bring on Thiago to beat your GCSE students. I mean, how proud of you? How proud are you as a Villa fan of that performance from your team? And of course, for Louis Barry, like we've mentioned, I think before on stream, and we've definitely mentioned before off camera as well. First goal for him. He's obviously been all over the place in terms of moves. West Brom, Barcelona, Villa now. How pleased are you for the performance and for Louis Barry as well?
Oh, it was so refreshing to watch, and I think only good things come out of it. I think I was just so proud of the players. You look at even the coach Mark Delaney just couldn't put into words. Someone that I worked with at Villa just literally couldn't put into words how proud he was. And it was really nice to see there was 4 or 5 players that featured in the game that I've played with and been with at Villa, and obviously I was at West Brom with Louis, and it was just such like the maturity levels, everything about it was just absolutely phenomenal. Like we're talking, the thing is that people don't realise is it wasn't even our under 23s. It was our under 18s, because most of our 23s have been training with the first team. Our 23s and even some of the 18s. I mentioned Aaron Ramsey, Jacob Ramsey's brother. He couldn't even feature because he'd been with the first team. Like it was that was meant to be, bar sort of Louis Barry and a few others. That was our weakest under 18 side. And to play like that against Liverpool, who I really, really have a little bit of a thing against Klopp now, because the level of disrespect that he showed, not only to Villa as a club, but to these under-18s players, I thought was absolutely ridiculous. He gets asked by a reporter prior to the game, do you feel sorry for Villa? And he just, in a nutshell, just says no and tries to curve ball around it. Now, when I said to you that would that 7-2 be thinking in his mind, of course it would have. Of course it would have. He tried making out like he only knew that Villa were putting out their under 18s hours before kickoff, which is not true at all. And yes, I do think that side that he put out would have played against Villa if we'd have had our strongest side out. I do believe that. But to play the team that they did and be as bad as they were against an under 18 side that wasn't even the full strength, I think is just a shame on Liverpool in that respect. Playing players like Mane and Salah and having to bring on Thiago to beat an under 18s just shows how well them under 18s players did for us. And it was really nice to see a clear philosophy throughout the club, because that was like a Dean Smith's performance. Yes, the quality wasn't there in terms of counter-attacking, and the defending was a bit slack at times, but there is quite clearly a vision at Villa now, and to see that from an academy side was so refreshing. And obviously to see a good mate of mine, Louis Barry, net like that. And if you actually look at the angle that they've got of the camera behind the goal, you can see him smiling before he's even scored because he knew he was going to score. And if you're talking about confidence, I mean, his interview afterwards, he said at 1-1, they genuinely thought that they could go and win the game. No one gave us a cat in hell's chance, not even myself, We just wanted to see the young lads give it a go. And, I just think everything that Villa have done over the last year or so, I just think has been so professional and brilliant. And see that especially, we could have easily have got the game called off. But we decided to give our youngsters a chance, and they grew in confidence as the game went on. And, when they scored after 3 minutes, I thought, oh my God, here we go. Like, it's going to be horrible, this. But I tell you what, that first half, they matched Liverpool. They more than matched a Liverpool side that could quite easily play in the Premier League, bar their back four, which even then, that was probably a Premier League back four without Robbo and Trent. So, what a phenomenal performance from them players, and a day never to forget for them all, because there's only going to be a few of them that make the first team and actually go on to play for us. And two players that I highlighted before, Kane Kesler-Hayden and Louis Barry, were phenomenal. Two players that I think will play for Villa and stay within the system. It's madness, really, with Louis Barry scoring that goal. People are actually wanting him to start featuring in the first team, but I think we have to be careful. Yes, he scored a great goal, but look, we need to protect him somewhat because he's a young player. He needs a little bit more time learning. But the run for the goal, phenomenal movement. The Klopp called him like a young Jamie Vardy, which was probably one of the only things that Klopp said that was positive about us in the entire night. But yeah, look, a brilliant performance from our under-18s, and Liverpool should probably be a bit concerned, really, because playing like that against a bunch of kids, I think Klopp expected there to be quite a bit of a rout, and Michael Owen as well. Funny him turning around and saying it was going to be a cricket score, and look how that turned out.
Yeah, well, it's Michael Owen. We know sometimes it's not always 100% correct, shall we say. But then obviously talking about the FA Cup draw, we'll obviously mention both of my teams, and then, we'll get your thoughts on it. We'll start with Plymouth. And a fantastic draw away to Sheffield United. I mean, United. Honestly, I said, and this is probably the 17th time I've said this on stream or whatever, but I said on the day, look, I want one of the top six. Everyone wants one of the top six in the FA Cup, especially if you're a League Two, League One club. But outside the top six and in the Premier League, the first team I'd want is Sheffield United, and that's exactly who we got. And look, I can't wait. Yeah. I genuinely can't wait for it. I think if Argyle go up there and play with the right mentality and have no fear, like they showed against Huddersfield, who are still a good Championship club, you never know. It's the FA Cup. It's the FA Cup. So look, I think that's a fantastic draw for Argyle, and I was over the moon when it got announced.
I knew you would be. It's a cracking draw for Plymouth. I looked at it straight away and I thought, do you know what? I actually fancy you lot. Obviously, with Sheffield United, they've just come off the back of a win against Newcastle. So I guess
winning now, don't they? They've drawn Argyle. And it depends.
It depends on It depends on the knock-on effect that has now, because Chris Wilder will be under no illusion that he doesn't want an embarrassing cup upset this year, especially with how their Premier League season's gone. So I definitely think that Sheffield United will not be resting any players against you lot. I don't really think they have the ability to rest players, to be honest. I think every win's vital. I guess a sort of strength for Plymouth is that Sheffield United have really struggled against Bristol Rovers, who are a side obviously in your league, who I believe aren't even doing that well in your league. So yeah, they've played League One opposition before, and they seem to have struggled. So there's definitely I would not even hesitate to back the odds.
No, I think that I'm obviously smiling. I'm absolutely over the moon.
I mean, yeah, Plymouth went on their rough patch in the league and obviously didn't really, it did look quite bleak a few weeks ago. And if you'd asked me a few weeks ago and the tie had been drew a few weeks ago, I'd probably have said Sheffield United, even the form that they're in. But yeah, Plymouth seems to have got it together a little bit now. So for me, playing Sheffield United, like you said, if you want to play a Premier League side, it's either them or West Brom. And West Brom aren't even in it anymore because they lost to Blackpool, who are also in your league. So it just proves that if you'd got the Albion, you'd have probably went through.
Exactly. So I'm massively looking forward to that game. I think we fancy our chances, and like you said, hopefully Sheffield United don't find too much good form between now and then, because I think Argyle go all the way. Before we move on to the Man United, we do have a little bit of breaking news on the transfer front. It's regarding a Championship club, but the player has gone from a Premier League club. So I'll grab this up quickly. I believe it's Jared Branthwaite.
Yeah,
there you go. He has signed for Blackburn Rovers on loan from Everton until the end of the season. So there is a little bit of breaking news there in terms of Everton and Blackburn Rovers. Jared Branthwaite has joined on loan to the end of the season. I think this kid is very highly rated at Everton, and I think Blackburn are doing fantastically in the Championship with Adam Armstrong, Harvey Elliott firing. So, with this addition, things look well for Blackburn.
Yeah, it's a great signing. He at the back end of last season, he got a few appearances for Everton. I think he actually played against Villa and got injured in the first few minutes, and he was out for a while. And it was a shame, really, because it was his big chance, and he was fantastic before that. He coming for a few games, he was brilliant. So I like what Blackburn are doing. They seem to be giving opportunities to these Premier League youngsters that are up and coming, and I really like what Tony Mowbray's doing. I fade in between in and out the Championship because I have a connection to it now, obviously with Villa being in it for so long. So he's a player that is easily Premier League level. So I mean, in the Championship, it could be like a Ben White situation with Leeds last year. He comes in and does phenomenally well for Blackburn and gets them back to the promised land. So yeah, great signing for Blackburn, and I really like what they're doing recruitment-wise at the moment.
Yeah, so I think that, like you mentioned, he has made a few appearances for Everton. I think I remember him playing last season at the back end, like you mentioned. So looks like Blackburn have got themselves a good deal here. But like I said, breaking news: Jared Branthwaite has joined Blackburn Rovers on loan from Everton until the end of the season. Going back to the FA Cup and stuff like that, just to finish up the stream, I guess. Firstly, we'll talk about the FA Cup, the Man United draw, the big draw, the one where, if you've seen the stream, anyone's seen the stream, it completely blew me away. I couldn't believe it. So we'll talk about that first. I guess your thoughts are you want us to do one over on them, aren't you, in the Cup, really?
It's a bit of a weird one because I don't want to keep bringing Villa into this, but I think if Villa hadn't have had our COVID outbreak, I genuinely think we'd be playing you. I think we would have beat Liverpool on the evidence of what they performed against our under 18s. I have no doubt in my mind that if we'd have played our full strength side and turned up on the day, we would have beat Liverpool. I have no doubt about it. and that just shows how well we've done this year. To be honest, I don't really want one more than the other to beat them. If anything, obviously Liverpool, because I feel as though they shouldn't really have went through, and I think they were highly unprofessional towards us, considering our circumstances. But then that Man United game is still in the frame of mind for a lot of Villa fans. And look, it pains us because we've only had one win at Old Trafford in God knows how long through that Gabby goal in 2009. Remember it as if it was yesterday. So, look, I think for me, I would like Man United to win because I just don't want to see Liverpool get far in a competition, to be honest. I think the way that they treated our under 18s was highly disrespectful in everything that they did and all. And if we're talking about this competition, I don't think really they deserve to be there because the performance on the night was poor, like we said. And they had to bring on Champions League winner in Thiago to get them over the line. And, I think if we'd have had our full side out, I think we would have beat them. So, yeah, I hope Man United win, but I think whoever wins that game could probably possibly go on to win it. I think whoever gets through that major hurdle will go on to lift the trophy, no doubt.
Yeah, I think, like I said, it is the tie of the next round. I'm not too sure on who we play after. I know that has been done. Unfortunately, we come off. We carried on with the transfer news on stream, so I'm not too sure on that one. But do you have a score prediction for that game? Because I know we've obviously got a week, I think, till that game. We've obviously got the game we will speak about in a minute in the league. But can you even put a score prediction on this now? I mean, we're only a week or two away from it, or do you just think you got to wait and see how possibly this game goes at the weekend first?
Definitely see how this game at the weekend goes because Liverpool this season have not been great. Especially in the recent games, they've been really, really poor, I thought. And even against our 18s, like I've said, I thought they were really poor, especially considering the side that they put out. So, look, I think this game this weekend is absolutely massive, and I think it's going to be a real telling factor because both sides are not going to be putting out weak sides because Ollie wants some silverware. Klopp will never turn down silverware unless he physically has to, like last year with, them fielding a young side against us. So I think whatever happens this weekend will have a real telling factor on what happens because a lot of people seem to be saying to United fans, enjoy being top of the league because when you play Liverpool, they're going to knock you off your pedestal. And I really want to see where United are at the moment because for me, United is now or never. They have to go to Liverpool and get something. If they want to win the league this year and make a real statement, there is nothing but win on that game. And with the way that Liverpool have been playing, there is no better time to play them. And especially in the Cup as well, they were ragged against us, really ragged, especially at the back. I think his name's is it Williams or is it Phillips? Nat Phillips at the back.
Might be both of them. Both of them might have played. I'm not too sure.
They just seem so off at Liverpool. I don't know what's happening at the moment. It's been since that Tottenham game. There's just been a massive drop off. So if I was to put a score prediction down, if the game was played tonight, I would honestly predict Man United to win the game. I honestly would predict them to win the game. I would not back Liverpool because of the way that they're playing. It would be 2-1 to United. And depending on what goes on in the weekend, I can probably give you a more accurate one. But you imagine if United go to Liverpool at Anfield and get a result this weekend, how massive that will be in the context of the Premier League. And it ultimately sets up for a cup tie then, because if you lot beat Man United, if you lot beat Liverpool and knock them 6 points behind you, that cup tie, they are going to be so motivated to do one on you lot. And then if you lose to them, it's probably going to motivate the other way. You're then going to be probably so motivated because they've denied you of going 6 points clear. So there's so much riding on this weekend's game. I don't really think you can actually predict the cup tie yet. And United and Liverpool might both get injuries as well in the time that it takes for that game to come along. So context will change by then, but nonetheless, the two are going to be absolute crackers, and I'm sure Carragher and Neville will be a right good watch on Sky Sports coverage. I'm sure they'll be brilliant to watch.
Yeah, the draw was made, and I was like, I can't believe this. Of course, we get Liverpool of all teams. City get Cheltenham. Imagine my shock. And we get Liverpool. So, I think going back to the Premier League and this weekend, I was going to ask you the question, but I think you've sort of answered it. But I will ask you again in a bit. But look, like you said, there is no better time to play Liverpool. They're obviously in terrible form in the league. United have got arguably, I think, the best form in the league, maybe bar. No, I think that United have the best form in the league. So coming off the win against Burnley, finally that game in hand has gone. We are now 3 points clear at the top. If we beat Liverpool, we go 6 points clear. But for me, even if we were to lose to Liverpool, that's not me saying we're out of the title race, because, seasons gone by, United have lost to City twice in a season and won the league, or, they've lost to a Liverpool maybe once or twice in the season and won the league. So I wouldn't say, oh, that's it, we're done, game over, forget about 21, it's all over. It'd just be a little bit of a dent in the road, and, you'd hope that we'd come back from it, and you'd hope that we take advantage of this poor Liverpool form. But from a United fan who doesn't want to get too giddy at the moment, can we win the league? Because I'm so close to getting really giddy here and saying, look, 21's coming, it's going to happen, get the tweets going. Liverpool, you should be scared. City should be scared of us. It's going to happen. 21 in 21. But there's other part of me which thinks, this season could change so much in a couple of games. You'd be sixth again. And then I think if Liverpool do lose to us at the weekend and other teams around them win, I think Liverpool could find themselves fourth or fifth, maybe even sixth, if all the teams below them win their games. So I don't know where I stand at the minute. Of course, I want to believe, and as a fan of your club, you want to believe, you want to dream. But can I yet?
I think it's a three-horse race. City, Liverpool, United. And for me, one of those teams are going to drop off. It's then going to go down to two, and it'll be a two-horse race. For me, I think Man City and Liverpool have both showed frailties this year. The thing that United have shown this year, time and time again, is that when it matters, against the Burnleys, against the West Broms, your performances haven't been great, but you've got over the line. And you can even look at the Villa one, Eric Bailly's block.
What a block. What a block. I can't believe it to this day.
The El Ghazi chance, where Wan-Bissaka produces one of the best defensive interceptions I've probably ever seen, which denied the clearest goal at the back post. 2 clear goals denied. United at the moment are just getting that luck, and we often say that is what makes a title challenger, and that moment there is the moment that they go on and become title. And I think Man United, what they've got to do now is they've just got to keep this run going. They did it last season to get into the top 4. They've proved that they can take that momentum and put it into performances. They've now got to do that again. They've done the hard part, in essence, of getting into the top of the league and getting that status. But when you're at that top of the league, you get shot at. And Man United have got to be prepared to get shot at now. They're the form team. And look, United on their day can beat anyone. They've got one of the best squads in the league. And look, for me, Bruno Fernandes has really got to show why some people say he is the best player in the league. If United are to win the league this year, he has got to consistently step up every single week. He has got to be the player to make that difference, because at the moment he is that different, but he's got to be consistent, which he has been so far. But this is going to prove it, because you think of Man City when they first won the league, Yaya Toure, consistently immense for seasons on end. Scholes back in the old Man United days. There is usually a player that steps up massively. When Leicester won the league, they had Vardy, Mahrez, Drinkwater, Morgan, Schmeichel.
Kante.
United do have that. Kante, of course. United do have that in players like De Gea. Bailly has been exceptional. Fred has been exceptional. Fernandes. Man United, Pogba even recently has been fantastic for you. United have now got to step up massively, because Liverpool and Man City especially for me, look as though they do not want another season of criticism. And you look at City look relentless right now. That reverse fixture, whenever it happens, Man United have just got to win, for me, the bigger games, because that's what Man United that's what they've struggled with. Even though they've beat Man City a lot, it's the other games that they seem to struggle in. At the moment, you're beating the smaller sides, which is all that mostly you can ask for. But like United, it'll come a lot more clearer, because Spurs look like title challengers 10 games in. People aren't giving them a chance now because they've had a few bad results. So I think with anything really, context will change, and we could be sitting here in 5 weeks' time and going, why did we even think Man United were in a title race? But then we could be saying in 5 to 6 weeks, Jesus Christ, they're going to win the league. So look, that game against Liverpool on Saturday or Sunday, if you win it, for me, you will go on and win the league, because a 6-point gap, and considering the fact that United aren't at the moment bottling the smaller games. That Southampton game was massive. You look at that game, 2-0 down to a side that are playing phenomenal football, and you turned it round and won that 3-2. That for me is another game where I think that's what Liverpool did last season when they played Newcastle, or the season that they nearly won the league, when they were 1-1, 2-1, 2-2, and they went and got the third goal, 3-2. Liverpool did similar when they won the league. They were winning games by the scruff of their neck. They weren't winning like City were 5-0 every week. They were just doing enough to win, and that's what Man United are doing. So, I think the squad that Man United have got, no one, like Gary Neville said, no one should be surprised that they are where they are, because Liverpool are under strength, Man City are under strength. This is the time. If Ole Gunnar Solskjaer wants to put his middle finger up to everyone, he has got literally a whole pathway to do it. He's got all the foundations to do it. Man United have just got to take that initiative and show that they've got players that have that heart, because players like Roy Keane have criticised Man United recently in the past few years for having a lack of passion, a lack of ambition. There seems to be now a real belief at Man United that you can go on and win the league. As much as it pains me to say it, because you're not one of them, but I've got quite a lot of Man United fans, and they are so annoying. But they would deserve it. They would deserve it, because Bruno Fernandes has been unreal. And players like Marcus Rashford, who has done so much off the pitch, it'd be brilliant to see him win a league title. A true great already with what he's doing. And yeah, United and you look at the squad depth that you have. Telles, Van der Beek, Cavani on your bench at times, you should be winning the league. It shouldn't be a surprise to anyone. It really shouldn't. But I think that surprise has come from the just how bad it's been over that amount of time, how bad and wretched it's been. So I think you can start believing soon. I really do. I do have hope for Man United because I think after you beat us, I think we were your real test because that game, for me, we should have come away with something from it. And obviously, I've told you that. And we we played our hearts out and still couldn't beat you. That was probably one of our best performances of the season, arguably better than Liverpool, in my opinion, the way we applied ourselves to the game and the way we handled the game, especially in the second half, how dominant we were. And you beat us. Ultimately, you beat us. So you've battled against anything that's been thrown at you this season. And bar a wobbly start, you've been tremendous. So and you've done that run before under Ollie, so you're more than capable of a team that can do it again.
Yeah, I think like you mentioned, it's such a contrast because last season we were winning the big games. Obviously apart from Liverpool, we beat City twice, Chelsea twice, Tottenham won and drew. You know, Arsenal, I know we lost and we drew, but relatively in the big games, we did come away with some big results. And I think, in the mini league of the top six, look at the results between them all. We were second behind Liverpool. We would have been second because Liverpool obviously went away with it last season. Whereas you look at this season, we're beating the teams we couldn't beat last season, like your Burnleys, your Villas, all them teams which we would have dropped points to last season. But when we play against the big teams, we haven't won yet. Like I said, lost Tottenham, lost to Arsenal, drawn with Chelsea, drawn with City. Them two draws against Chelsea and City aren't bad results. They're okay, but you need to start winning. You need to win your home games against the big boys because when you play away against the big boys, that's when you go, okay, we'll not play for a point, but we'll try and get a point out of this so they don't gain anything, but we don't lose anything in the same aspect. So United need to start winning big games. And look, if we could beat Liverpool on, I think it is Sunday, I don't want to start believing because I like, as much as I want to jump on the bandwagon, I think I have at times saying 21 is coming. I think you do have to wait till you're 25 games in, and if you're in with a shout, even if you're 3 or 6 points behind, you're there with a shout. And if you've still got to play one of the teams at the top, you're there with a shout. So, look, like I said, it could all come crashing down very quickly, but it can also escalate very quickly depending on results. And I think there's no better time to play Liverpool apart from now. And United have to go there and win. And if United do win, I think a lot of United fans will go, right, I'm not going to say we're going to win the league, but I fancy us a lot more now because we got that big win under our belt at Anfield as well. I think that would be a humongous win to get because like I said, we haven't won there for God knows how many years as well. So yeah, if we were to get that win, it'd be hard to stop United fans from going, yeah, we're going to be there or thereabouts and fancy us to win it. So yeah,
it's game by game for United. It's game by game. Don't look at the long-term picture. I think that's what Liverpool was so good at last season. Their mentality towards every game, all they had to do was win it. And it was one game. Klopp kept saying it, and all the players, it's just one game. And like I said, Liverpool had moments last season. They beat us 2-1, scoring 2 late goals in the 88th minute. Virgil van Dijk said it at the time. He said that, we won the league at Villa. We won the league that day because that knock-on effect that it had for the rest of the season and the confidence that it gave the team and the resilience they built from that was phenomenal. So, look, I think Man United have just got to do what Liverpool did last season. Liverpool have almost gave Man United a handbook, really, of how to win a league title and how to do it convincingly. And as long as Man United sort of follow the route to that, which is take everything as it comes and just take it game by game, the pressure then eases because instantly, if everyone's then expecting you to go on and win the league, the players will feel that pressure, even though there's not fans in the stadium. The players will feel that pressure, and I think fans do instigate that pressure. So the Man United players will be under no illusion that they're in a title challenge, and you could see that when you beat Villa, the reaction of the players at the end, them all hugging and embracing Eric Bailly the way they did. It's like you just won a trophy, which clearly means that the players believe that you can go on and win the league.
Yeah, 100%. And so just to finish on United, look, I'm so happy Pogba is pretty much back to his best now. And that goal against Burnley, bit of luck, couple of, I think a deflection or two. But I think we did earn that in the end. And if we look at Burnley, I don't think they created too much. Obviously, the kitchen sink was going to come in the last 5-10 minutes. You know that with Burnley. But I think we created enough to win the game. We had a few half chances and stuff, but I think we did deserve to win it. And with the Liverpool game, if United do beat Liverpool, and I think I've said this before, Liverpool will then go, we're now 6 points behind them. They've just done us in our own backyard. I don't know if Liverpool will have the confidence to say we'll go to Old Trafford and win. And when they check the United results, because they're going to start checking them now. But if we were to beat them still, they're going to go, they're winning. We can't catch them. They're still winning. Okay, they've dropped a point, but they're still 4 points ahead of us or something. We've dropped points now. They're going to start checking results and getting very nervy if United do still keep winning or picking up points. So I think psychologically, this game has a huge bearing on the rest of the season, because I don't want to look. This game does not put Liverpool in the coffin for the league whatsoever. 6 points or whatever is nothing with pretty much half a season to go. But I think psychologically there could be a few things that could happen depending on how this game goes, especially if United win. But before we finish up, there is a game on tonight. Crystal Palace, Arsenal. Predictions for that, Morgan?
I'm going to go with Arsenal 2-0. I think Arteta's finally getting it right at Arsenal. I really like Smith Rowe. Obviously, Martinelli's out, I believe, with an injury with what happened in the warm up last week. Luckily, it's not too long term for them though. But I really like Smith Rowe in the 10. And look, Palace haven't been great. I think Palace will give them a thought or two though. Eze's a fantastic player, and Zaha obviously. They've got the threat, Palace. It's whether or not they turn up, because Palace are so hot and cold. You could either get the Palace that turned up against Villa and Liverpool that was dreadful, or you can get the Palace that turned up against Leeds and beat them 4-1. So, yeah, I'm going to back Arsenal to win that one. I think it's on the up now for Arsenal, and it'd be a major blow for them in terms of a shock top 4 push or a shock European push, considering where they were at the start of the season if they don't win tonight. And I believe as well, madly, if they win tonight, Arsenal, they're 4 points behind title challengers Tottenham, which just shows you how mad this season has been. So, yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to go. Do you know what? I actually said, people that are watching, or Morgan, if you see on the FPL Graduates channel, I went on there for FPL Mondays. I actually predicted possibly Palace to win this with maybe a Benteke header or something like that. I could just see Palace getting something out of this, but I've said that before and it hasn't come through. So I'm going to go 1-1. I know that's a bit boring. I'll go 1-1 because I think Palace have got enough in this team to cause Arsenal problems in defence. You look at David Luiz Holding, Bellerin, Maitland-Niles. You never know sometimes with them. Yes, they're on form, but you still never know. Whereas with Palace, they got Benteke, Zaha, Townsend, Eze, Milivojevic on a set piece maybe, or from a long range. You fancy them to possibly create some good chances, and the way they're playing, they need to start getting back to some good form. So I'm going to go 1-1 draw because I was tempted to go with a Palace win, but like I say, I do think Arsenal are playing relatively well. And like I said, Smith Rowe and Saka are doing fantastic for them. So I'm going to 1-1. So yeah, I believe we'll leave the stream on that, unless Morgan, you got anything else you want to add? Reference Man United's title charge.
No, not really anything. I think I've said my piece on a lot of things. I mean, yeah, hopefully Villa get back playing soon. Hopefully we go to Man City with somewhat a full strength side, and we're not going there with under 18s in our starting 11. But hey ho, we're still 8th. We're 4 games in hand on everyone else now. So Villa for a top 4 push incoming. I'm joking before anyone tries slaughtering me. But I do think we could push Europe if we recover from COVID. So apart from that, up the Villa, really.
Yeah, so finally you've been on at the end to say up the Villa. I've had to do it for you in previous streams, and it hasn't felt right. But as you heard from Morgan, up the Villa. Thank you once again. I'm sure Morgan shares my thoughts for, like I said, 20 subs at the beginning. We know it's not a huge milestone or anything, but it's work, and we're trying to progress forward and aim high. So if you are watching, please do share it. Get people to subscribe, like, and interact in the comments and all the good stuff. The Twitter will be on the channel somewhere, or it'll be on previous streams. It's just SNS Football Podcast. All transfer news is on there when we're not live, so make sure you go and follow it. Check out FPL Graduates, because I went over there on Monday on FPL Mondays. That was great fun. I hadn't really touched my FPL for a while, so it was interesting to see how that had been since I left it. So go and check that out. Go and sub to them. They've just hit 400, so drop them a comment and say you come over from us, because they're great lads. And hopefully, Morgan, if you come up to London and I return, we'll be able to meet up with them, because like I said, they're good lads.
Yeah, it sounds good, mate. Subscribe to the FPL guys. Really good FPL content. So, and obviously Braden made his appearance on there as well. So yeah, so subscribe to us, boys. Give them a lot of follow as well. I'm sure they'd love to hit 500 sometime soon as well. So yeah, it'd be really good to give both of us a sub.
Yeah, they're everywhere. Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube. They do the lot. For us, it's just the YouTube and the Twitter for now. But yeah, give us a follow, like, subscribe. Thank you for watching as always. Share the video, and me and Morgan will see you in the next one. Maybe with more guests, but definitely with more football and transfer news. So once again, thank you for watching, and we'll see you in a bit.
See you in a bit, guys.